I don't know why, but it feels lopsided. Like it's, yeah, it is. Should I have it different? Is that how we do it? There we go. There we go. So today is gonna be a bit of a different video. I'm still gonna do doing the same like comic reviews, of course. Like I'll be still be reviewing comics, but it won't be all the ones that I showed off on that video about 2 weeks ago. And the reason for why that is because most of them were the longer ones, like the Epic collections and the Futures and the Superman for Tomorrow. Those ones I was not able to finish. I think that's actually all of them, and Walking Dead. And the reason for why that is because I had not like so much going on over the past few weeks. So it's kind of busy. So I flew like one day, then 2 days, and when I do is I'll read like let's say up to 10 one night or 15 one night, and then 10 the other night, instead of just doing like because I like to be on the same page for every book. So it's five. I've read five of each book, but I probably should have just read the Epic collections like all day like that day. Just like read two of them or something to get caught up. Iron Fist, I figured I would not be able to finish all in 2 weeks. That's 25 issues, and it's about 25, I think. Actually, it's exactly 25, but they're all 18 pages each, so it's like it's the least you can get for a comic book. And honestly, TLDR for that book, I'm glad that was 18 pages each. But you'll get that review later on. But right now, here's the first 18, I would say. And today's video, because also another reason why I decided to do it things this way is because I wanted the most books to return because I'm still getting books today. If I go today, hopefully I'm able to go today. But I want to make sure I had the most amount of books possible to return so I could get the books I wanted to get. It's pretty much just going to be one extra thing, so it should be good. Um, but yeah, it's going to be a lot. And then what I'll do is I'll reiterate this for Saturday's video because tomorrow's video is going to be on Bus Fridays. And then what I'll do for Saturday's video is I'll reiterate, of course, but I'm going to be getting the books from today from the library, but I'll be finishing the books from I didn't was not able to finish, like the Epic collections, the Superman, Walking Dead. Those ones I'll be finishing first for next Friday because it's not as many books for next Friday, and then I'll be returning those, and then getting a few extra books that I wanted to get, and then that'll be that. So I will be taking 3 weeks to finish them all. So next week I'll try and get. Next week I'll still get your comic reviews. I should technically getting a week early, and the following week because it's 3 weeks, so it wouldn't be next week or the following. It's the week of the 20th if I'm doing the math right. So that following week it'll probably just be like a on this Friday and that's it. Maybe I'll do like a smaller video. I don't know. Probably not. Or no, actually, no. What I'm gonna do? No. It's gonna be a Friday's video, or not Friday's video. It'll be Thursday's video or Saturday's video. Whenever I decide to upload it, that will be the reiterating it because I will reiterate what I'm gonna be reading, even though I'll be showing it off to tomorrow, Saturday's video. Okay. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem when you have a weekly series that you have to upload. Yeah, at least I want to upload every single day. Is you're like, well, I'm gonna upload this, and usually do it a day later. No, I'm gonna do 2 days later. Alright, so first up we have Captain America and the Mighty Avengers, and I thought this was okay. I found out the hard way that this is a sequel series to Al Ewing's Mighty Avengers run, which I believe is even that's a sequel to his Ultimates run, because a lot of at least a couple of the characters that appeared in his Ultimates run appear here. So actually, I think it's exactly what Mighty Avengers is, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I don't know the different Avengers teams. They're Avengers. I thought this was pretty good. I kind of felt like I'm glad it's only 2 volumes kind of thing. It was all right. I'm glad I read it, but I probably won't read it again anytime soon. But I still do recommend it. Magneto Volume 2. Now this is a series I will constantly go back to. Up here. That's everything up, isn't it? That's why my bed is I'm relying on the blanket too. But anyways, Magneto is a series I will constantly go back to. I think every 6 months or so, I'll be reading this again and again and again. This is one of those series it's so damn good, and it's like the way my memory isn't like I wouldn't say it's short-term memory loss, but it's kind of like I feel like for like do yours and then cut that in half. That's my memory. Like I'll remember a book I read and I'll remember certain things from it, but reading again like 6 months later, it'd be like almost like I'll remember other things. It's like how did I not forget? How did I remember that? That kind of thing. But this one is just spectacular. I highly recommend this book. That's right. It was a dream I had last night. That I have a recurring dream. I'm watching a movie I've watched like before, and there'll be just a completely new scene. Like basically, it's like the extended version of a movie. It's an added scene that's never been seen before, but it's a regular theatrical version. It's like how did I remember this? Like it's completely new. Like not just like oh well yeah I forgot that happened. But no, it's like complete. It's like how the hell? Like, there's no way I could have forgotten about that. And I'll have a recurring dream that happened. It's kind of funny. I was kind of distracted when I was talking about Magneto because I was thinking about that. I was like, was that a dream? Or was that an actual movie? Then we have Spider-Man Deadpool Volume 2, and this was much better than the first volume. I still like the first volume enough, but this one just gave me everything I'd wanted. I'd want in a Deadpool Spider-Man book. Just crazy fun. It wasn't too wordy. I feel like Volume 1 was a bit wordy. And it's probably because of Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly, I do like as a writer. I have come to respect his Deadpool run, but for the longest time it was kind of about his Deadpool run. I know my tastes in comics have evolved so much better than they have evolved to be a lot better than they were before. Like, I would say like not even 2 years ago, my opinions on comics kind of sucked. Cause I'd hate books that everyone else loved, and not necessarily like not necessarily like comics people hated, but just kind of like how could you not like that book? Especially if you like this book, it's like it's the same kind of thing or the same kind of feel. Like if you like this, you like that one. But this one I liked a lot better than the first one. Angela, Queen of Hell, the Bennett run. I thought this was okay. A lot of stupid meta jokes like, oh, we're doing a Deadpool, it's fourth wall breaks. It's kind of annoying. Honestly, it's kind of annoying. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like there was nothing in here except for the meta joke that I was absolutely annoyed with. It was just kind of standard comic book fare. You look up a comic book, this is what you get. Then we have Defenders Volume 2, and I am the only person who seems to like this book, and the writer, Brian Michael Bendis, even his new stuff. I feel like I'll always, like, he at least keeps you interested. And that's the absolute least of what I need in a comic. Just keep me interested. Not throughout, not every panel has to be as intriguing as the last panel or every page and every issue. And I know some issues will be slower paced and have more dialogue. And, that's fine. More world building, that's fine. But this is like it's the Peloton. So you just read this to read something quick and easy, and it's maybe it's a bit forgettable, but you still enjoyed it. You come out enjoying it. Nothing in here that I was absolutely annoyed with. Nothing in here that was like it's a character assassination moment. No, it's fun, And I'm not the kind of guy that like goes into a book and like I'm like Luke Cage he said this, but in issue 400 of his ongoing in 1945 he said this. And I'm not the kind of guy. I don't see people that do that, and more power to you. It all boils down to opinion. But I'm the kind of guy like unless you go really bad, I'm not going to notice a difference in characters. But there are certain exceptions. A good one is Dan Slott's Spider-Man. Especially that 2015 series when he had that Stark Industry. Basically, he was Iron Man. That was dumb. No matter how many times I read that book, I hate it even more. The 2014 series I remember liking. I tried to swipe up it was an Instagram thing. I tried to swipe it up, and it swiped up exactly as I did. So I was like, swipe up, and it was like, it's completely useless. Godshaper by Simon Spurrier. I am done with Simon Spurrier. There was a series that was, because I like this Hellblazer. And that's why I keep going back to Simon Spurrier. That's why I keep giving chances, reading this book by him and reading that book by him. Of course, I got the books from Image by him, so all that. And that's why I got the books from Image are by him. And thankfully, one is completely dialogueless. One's different image called Step by Step, completely dialogueless. I think that's gonna be the best Simon Spurrier book I've read since Hellblazer. But everything I've read by him since Coda is a bit of an exception has been just kind of annoying. This is not as bad as Aspire. I will always hate Aspire, but this one is just not good. And not inconsequential. Just like doesn't make any sense sometimes. Just like, what's that word you use? Nonsensical. It's completely nonsensical. He's trying to be Rick Remender. Everyone says he's trying to be like Warren Ellis, and I haven't read enough Warren Ellis, I guess, to say that he's like Warren Ellis. But I read all of Transmetropolitan like 20 times. Spoilers, it's a book that we'll be seeing pretty soon here. And I read his. What else did I read of his? I read other books by him. Just wasn't it was that Ultimate Galactus trilogy is only other one I can think of, and that weird president one. I don't remember what it was called. It was Avatar Press. I don't remember liking that one. But I would say that Simon Spurrier is a wannabe Rick Remender more than he's a wannabe Warren Ellis. And I think anybody who, especially the way the art design is, and the way like all the characters like gonna move kind of thing, and the way they talk, he's trying to be Rick Remender. I would say, not Warren Ellis. Maybe Rick Remender is one thing. Warren Ellis, maybe it's one of his like main inspirations. But I would say he's one of the Rick Remender. And Rick Remender is just leaps and bounds above this guy, by the way. I actually really like Rick Remender. One of my milestones in comics is trying to get everything he's done for Image Comics. It's becoming a lot harder to do now that he has an exclusive deal with them for the next 5 years, but I think it's more just like what he's done like so far. Once Sacrificers Volume 1 comes out, I think I should finally buckle down and get like this Deadly Class, and then his Crawl Space Omnibus is out of print, by the way, so so that's gonna be kind of hard to get, and I'm not gonna want to pay overprice for that one. But anyways, this one I just thought was okay. Well, no, sorry, I didn't think it was okay. I was distracted. I got sidetracked. But this one it was really annoying, honestly. There's a few parts in this I thought were like not bad, but mostly I thought it was kind of a bad book. I still sort of recommend it. I seem to be the only one, except for Thinking Critical, who really hates Simon Spurrier. Because Near My Condition really likes his stuff. Like, he loves his stuff. So I'm apparently in the middle. Yeah, I would say I'm in the middle. I really like his Hellblazer, so. Oh, and that's what I was trying to say. There's a sale on his books from DC Comics, as they were doing a Halloween sale, and they had his his books of magic. Well, he didn't do books of magic. He did one issue of that, and then his the other series that I didn't have. And I was thinking of getting those. I didn't because it was too much. I wasn't able to afford all of them, even on sale. And then I decided to get other books instead. I'm glad I decided to get other books instead. And that was digital sale, by the way, not physical. So you won't see those. I have thought here and there about doing my Kindle comics Kindle comic haul where I show off all the comics I have from Kindle. And what I'd probably do is I'd make that an edited video, and I would just have like I'd have like a picture of it here, like, oh, I got this book, and then not actually going through like a screen capture. Because I feel like that's a bit dangerous to do that. I'm sure it's not. But I'm very paranoid. Like, when I think I mentioned this before, when I snapshot a meme, I will always when I'm sharing on Twitter, whatever, if they have like a meme checkpoint, share last meme on your phone, I will snapshot that, and I won't even show the time. I'll just show the meme, nothing else. And sometimes I'll credit the creator that I got it from. But then it's kind of for memes. It's kind of one of those things you kind of can't credit the creator because it's 9 times out of 10 it's entirely probably 99% chance that person stole from someone else, and it's like a whole cycle of people stealing from other people. So whole chain. Because I have seen memes like twice and 3 times over. And it's kind of funny is that I'm very hypocritical about it. I kind of get pissed off when I see that. It's like, wow, you just stole it from this guy. Wow, but it's not like Sniper Wolf where it's different. It's just claiming it's your own, or not claiming it's your own. But it's different for that. But it's kind of that same mentality that I have. But anyways, welcome back, Volume 1. I really enjoyed this one. I'm surprised I did, because the first time I read this, I like the end. Because it ended, because it kind of get like that. Okay, now I'm actually gonna go somewhere. But I would say halfway through this book, I really enjoyed it. Maybe even past issue one. Actually, issue one I really liked. Issue two I felt like was a bit too long. It was kind of strange, but I liked 66% of this book. I'd almost say like around up to 70%. That's a lot for a Christopher Sabala book. And I will be trying to finish the series on my own. Let's just say, without the assistance of my local library. Let's just say, without paying for it. Let's just say, because I'm already not paying for volume one. So, but moving on. And no, I should not condone those actions. It's just kind of, sometimes you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Anyways, next up we have Ronin Island by Greg Pak. And like a lot of Greg Pak books, this is kind of a palate cleanser. You read it, you enjoy it. It's not gonna like floor you, or it's not gonna change your worldview of completely change you, and like you're not gonna come out of this like learning something new. It's a palate cleanser. It's a nice little story. It's very interesting. I liked it, but it's nothing special. It's not gonna be my top 10 comics of all time, or even my top 20. Next up, we have Submerged by Vita Ayala. And I always have to give these writers some credit when they write something that's actually competently written. If this was written by, let's say, Rick Remender, I would probably give it a lot more slack, because written by Vita Ayala, I give it a lot more praise, because she usually writes those kinds of books. And this isn't one of those kinds of books. There are hints in this. She can't help herself, but it's not like it isn't distracting the story. They have the kind of wussy brother character that the girl has to save, and she's always like she fights his battles for him, kind of thing. But that it was supposed to be written that way, and it wasn't too annoying here. And then they have like this weird thing when she's talking to her mother in flashbacks, she'll be like speaking partly in Spanish. She'll be like, "Hola, señorita. So how are you doing?" And it's like, what? Either do most or go. It's kind of. It reminded me of America, the Gabby Riviera series. They just do partially in Spanish and partially in English in the same like sentence basically, or same dialogue blend, which is very strange. But other than those two nitpicks, I actually enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it. But get it at a discount or free at your local library, or free any other way. Next up, we have Vagrant Queen by Megan Visaggio, and yet again, I always have to give these people slack. I always have to give these people a bit of slack. Just like more praise than I would. Cut. That is the word. Cut them some slack. I always have to cut these writers some slack when they actually write something that's completely written. Kim and Kim, I absolutely despise. Like I kind of like hated that book. That was kind of bad. Didn't think it was like terrible, but just like run the mill bad. Just kind of bad storytelling. Her Uja Wuja I really enjoyed both times I've read it. This I would say is somewhere in the middle. Not as good as her Uja Wuja, but not nearly as bad as her Kim and Kim. I've only read 3 books by Megan Visaggio. I did enjoy this book. It reminded me kind of like of how I feel about this. The same way I feel about Ms. Marvel. It's the Kamala Khan Ms. Marvel. I know that not everyone likes it, and I can understand why, but I still liked it. I still found more enjoyment out of it than other people would. So I do recommend picking this one up. And honestly, it's a good price for a book like this. It's pretty thick, and it's $17.99. Next up, we have God is Dead, Volume 4, and it just keeps getting better and better. Very damn good series. One major downside is that most of the time I have no idea what's going on. I feel like there's too much going on, but in a good way. So even my downside is not really a downside for me, at least personally. I felt as though it was worth mentioning. Wicked and Divine, Volume 7. Yeah, I'm getting this series for Christmas, more than likely. It's gonna do one of those things where my library had it, but it's the last thing I need from Image Comics by Kieran Gillen. That's not a anthology book. And that's all I need. The only downside to all of Kieran Gillen's books, I don't have his phonogram. Like I have his phonogram books, but the hardcover apparently comes with all the B-sides, which are never reprinted, which is really strange. And they are printed in the original issues, which kind of pisses me off. But yeah, Wicked and Divine is absolutely a superb comic book. One of my favorite comics of all time. It would be my top 10. Transmetropolitan would also be my top 10. This is volume 9, and I already want to read this again. It's just so damn good. The one thing is that not unlike Preacher, which every issue of Preacher was like just spectacular. Neither it was never ever boring. This sometimes can get a bit slow. Like I think the first few volumes had some hiccups here and there. Like some issues weren't as good as the others. I feel like 60 issues, they could have cut down to maybe to 50 or something like that. Probably 50. But that's a huge nitpick. This is an absolutely fantastic comic book that I highly recommend. American Way. I remember liking this. I believe I liked this, or I like the sequel better than the first time. I can't remember if I like the sequel better than the first one, or if I actually like this one. Like it's like, oh, it was kind of good, But this second time around, it was very wordy. John Ridley has a type, and yeah, this is a John Ridley book. Honestly, I feel like him and Tom King could write a book, and you wouldn't be able to tell who wrote what. Like they would say, we co-wrote a book, and you wouldn't be able to tell, you really wouldn't be able to tell, who wrote what, because they kind of write the same. It's not bad, but it's just kind of, a bit preachy, and it's still, interesting. There are points I liked, but it's just a very wordy comic book, very preachy comic book. It has a lot of narration and that kind of narration, and I thought it was just kind of annoying. But I still liked it enough to get volume 2. I got volume 2 prematurely, and I'm not like, oh, I should put that one away. I should, shouldn't I? No, I'm glad I still got it, and I'll be eagerly anticipating reading it. Because again, I'm still enjoyable enough. It was it'd be a 6 out of 10 kind of book, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Next up, we have The Unwritten, and I thought this was good. This is a Fables crossover, and I'm not a huge fan of Fables, and this was probably the second weakest volume, but, not as weak as the first weakest volume. This is just because, I kind of feel like they could have done without the Fables crossover. It's kind of unnecessary, in my opinion. Yeah, they both are dealing with magic and, fantasy type elements and supernatural type elements, and I get it, but it's just kind of come on. I get it. It's kind of like a Preacher and Hellblazer had a crossover, which I would like to see, especially if both written by Garth Ennis. But it's still one of those things I just kind of come on. But I still liked it, and it was kind of confusing. I think it takes place in current Fables continuity. So it was very confusing for me because I have not been caught up on Fables. I think I read the first 6 at least. That was the 6 hardcovers, which was the first 12 volumes, I would say. But Fables was never my favorite Vertigo comic. I still liked it. I still thought it was good enough, but it was never I wouldn't lose sleep over my local library not having the next volume. And yeah, I've been tempted to get those compendiums and get fully caught up and get it all. But I don't know. Everyone else seems to like it though. But I think it was just too much for me. Maybe I don't know. It's because everything I like about other books is present here in Fables, but I think it was just kind of it missed a mark for me. It missed the writing in general. Next up, we have one. Again, I don't hate it. Obviously, I have no inclination to reread it. At that point, Wonder Woman Volume 1, Blood. This is a fantastic run. It's my favorite run of all time for Wonder Woman. And keep in mind, I've read three runs, complete runs. I read the Greg Rucka run. I read the part of the Becky Cloonan run. I read I read the entire New 52, so it's Brian Azzarello and Meredith Finch. And Brian Azzarello is my favorite. And some of his the George Perez run. Batman Rules of Engagement was absolutely spectacular. This is really damn good. If you haven't, I do recommend this one if you haven't heard about it before and you're a Batman fan. And finally, Nubia on the Amazons, and this was a bit of a snooze. And the Vita Ayala book. Nothing in this was offensive or anything like that, but nothing was interesting either. It was kind of just It was so honestly. I don't mean to be this mean about it, but I have to be truthful and to be honest. But it was so boring that I think I forgot what happened in it the second I finished reading it. Like I probably could have read other than like, oh, this panel looks familiar, or these two words seem familiar. So, oh, the God Shaper, let's say it's God Shaper, in Nubia. It wasn't, but let's just say it was. Like, wait, didn't I read about that before? And like, yeah, it was Doom was Doom something or other, but it was just so forgettable. I probably could have read the same issue twice over and not noticed it until after. And it was one of those books that it was so boring that like you would lose the plot because it wasn't because it was confusing. It was because you lost interest and you basically were on autopilot mode. But that is to say is that I'm getting books tonight, hopefully tonight. But it definitely will be a nighttime video. So, but maybe I'll get lucky, but I don't think I will. Honestly, unless I get really lucky, I'd want to go later tonight, anyways. Not like late tonight, obviously, but around dinner time. I'm still waiting on one book, so I can't go right now, even if I wanted to. But I was calling reviews. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna add that too. Go through them again and give them just out of 10 scores. I do like doing that. It does seem definitive. 6 out of 10 for Captain, 5 out of 10 for Captain America: Many Avengers. Magneto, I would give an 9 out of 10. Spider-Man Deadpool, 7.5 out of 10. If I gave the original, I can give the original a 7 out of 10. And it's just like, it's above the original. So if I gave the same score, whoopsies. But 8 seems too high. 4 out of 10 for Angela. 7 out of 10 for Defenders. Probably 6 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for Defenders. God Shaper gets a 2 out of 10. Welcome Back gets a 6 out of 10. Roman Island gets a 7 out of 10. Submerged gets a 6 out of 10. Vagrant Queen gets a 6 out of 10. Remember, a 6 out of 10 is not a bad score. It means it's okay. It's good. Good enough. God is Dead, Volume 4 gets a 7.8 out of 10. I say 7.5, but I don't make it to 88. Wicked and Divine gets a 9.5 out of 10. And so does Trent Metropolitan, 9.5 out of 10. American Way gets a 5 out of 10. Unknown Fables. Unwritten Fables gets a 7 out of 10. Wonder Woman Volume 1, I don't know, I specified it, but Wonder Woman gets a 8.5 out of 10. Batman gets an 8 out of 10, and Nubia gets a 2 out of 10. But even with, I think God Shaper was probably the worst I read this time around, because at least Nubia, yeah, I was on autopilot mode. It was just boring. It wasn't like annoyingly boring. It was just boring. Just in the middle. Just, you're staring bad. But that, as I say, is that. See you guys in the next one. Tomorrow's video, which will be on those Fridays. Just want to see. 20 minutes. Okay. I'm filming on the phone. I probably won't continue to do that because I think I'm permanently out of storage.